Day 130. You can't decide your future, but you can decide your habits, which greatly impact your future. You can decide your habits. You can decide what you're going to wake up and do daily. But it's hard because at the end of the day, we know that there's a lot of external variables that I always talk about, where we don't know if it's going to work out long term. We don't know where exactly our life is going to be in 5 or 10 years down the road. We can create a really good aim and have a really solid plan that we intend to execute, and of course have a relationship with God and have the correct spiritual perspective, all of those things. But we don't have a crystal ball to know exactly what the long-term future is going to look like. But even in the unknowing, and even knowing there's 1,000 different variables that can steer our lives in different directions with work and with other events, positive and negative, even though we know that there's going to be some give or some leeway in our life based on external factors, are we still going to show up and take care of the things that we can't control? Are we still going to make sure that our daily inputs are maximizing everything that God has given us the ability to do? Again, it's hard because we don't have that guarantee. And so many people just have the mindset, whether they're willing to admit it or not, to say, man, I'd love to be a doctor one day, but man, it's 8 years of schooling and I just don't know if I can get through all that. Or it's, I would love to bid on that promotion at work. I'd love to have that job, but I don't know when the job is going to be posted, and I don't really feel like putting in all the work and shadowing and training. Like, we want the destination, but daily stuff gets hard, and you don't always sleep, and you're not always happy, and you're not always motivated. So then we don't take just the daily inch by inch steps. So then when the opportunity does arise, or the break was going to happen, you were going to get that big break, maybe you weren't prepared for it because you didn't put in the 8 years of consistency prior to be ready for that moment. And that's real. And I think in my life, I really want to be about the daily habits and the daily inputs. And I always say things like the one more day mentality that we've talked about in the past. That's just what I want to embody in my life. Is I don't know how my life's going to turn out in 10 or 20 years. And of course I have a goal and an aim and a vision, but I can't control all that. What I can control is to put my best effort forward today, to be crisp, to be clear, to grow in the areas that I need to grow, to trim the fat in the areas that I know I need to cut out, to be a solid leader and to be the same person consistently for the people around me every day of the week. And you can control that daily. Just one more day. I've had a video on that months ago. One more day mentality. Because at the end of the day, what you decide to do this year, in this month, in this week, in this hour, in this minute, in this moment, all of those daily decisions, they matter. They add up. And I guarantee you, if you put in the inputs that you know that you should today, tomorrow's you is going to thank you for it. And if we screw off today, tomorrow's you is going to be frustrated and humiliated and angry and play victim. Again, if this year's you, if 2025's you, is finally executing the things that you know that you've needed to execute, that we've been putting off for years and years, 2026 you is going to be proud of you. 2026 you is going to respect you, to have a better self-image. 2026 you is going to thank you for it. I just turned 30. I want my 40-year-old me to say, man, that dude's 30s. Yeah, he wasn't perfect, and yeah, he's still got a lot of room to grow, but he was nose to the grindstone in his 30s to be about the things that he always talked about. Like, he took action in his 30s. I want that decade to be reviewed in that kind of light. But in order to do that, it starts with your daily habits. Because even if things don't break our way and there's heartbreak and frustration and pain, I still would be able to rest on the fact that I did everything that I could to be the man that I aspire to be and to be like Jesus. So that's the motivation today, is you can't decide your future, but you can absolutely decide what your daily habits are going to be. And if you stack enough of those in a row, it ultimately has a large portion or a large effect on deciding your future. The book of Ephesians chapter 5, verses 15 through 17 says, "Be very careful then how you live, not as unwise, but as wise, making the most of every opportunity, because the days are evil. Therefore do not be foolish, but understand what the Lord's will is." So talk to God, understand what his will is for your life, prioritize his will over our own. And I don't mean to be doom and gloom, but I'm reading from the Bible here, and I can absolutely relate to, from what I see in this world, is like the days are evil. And how I know that and how I can attest to that in my life is like, if I were to just go along with the path of least resistance, if I were to go along with the crowd, the 2025 social media crowd, the 2025 revelry crowd, what I see, at least from a lot of people, and I'm not judging, it's just observation of like patterns of when people wake up and when they go to sleep and what they do in between. I see a lot of people that are living for short-term, immediate gratification. And I feel bad because it's like they're just trying to feel normal and they're trying to fit in and they're trying to chase this thing called happiness. But unfortunately, it's like you're doing the very things that are going to lead to long-term sorrow and long-term regret, even if it's making you feel better in this moment. I always go back to, like, if you have really dry and chapped hands, the one thing you can do is try to like run them under water. You try to moisturize, etc. But like, if you don't have that and you just have water, it's going to make your hands feel better for a moment. But man, later on, they're going to start hurting. It's like sometimes you just got to sit in the pain. You got to sit in the decisions that you've made, like I've talked about yesterday, and accept your reality for what it is and take accountability for that reality. And then you got to come back to and take inventory. What do I have to improve? How did I get myself here? And once you take accountability for you that got yourself there, then you can truly start to plan and strategize how to get yourself out. And it's not going to be an overnight thing, so be patient with it, because some people have great intentions and trying to dig themselves out of holes, but then I feel bad for them, but then like 14 days later or 17 days later, they sink back into having a very weak moment, and they screw up, they wander off the path, and they have to start back from square one. And I've been there before. And I don't want to do that again. And I don't want anyone that I love to have to be in that situation. It's, as these verses say, be careful how you live. Be wise. Have a relationship with God. Know that the temptations in this present day are not going to serve you well. In fact, they are evil in a lot of ways. Just look around and truly connect with what God's will is. And if you do that and you're just connected to that every single day, and you're a person of principle, you're going to have confidence in who you are. Not in some cocky way, but you're going to truly know that God has put you here and that you're here for a reason, and that your self-image is going to improve, and you're going to start achieving things that you never thought you could, and then you're just going to feed off of that. You absolutely will. You're going to reach new heights. And that's not just me saying that. Just spend a season of your life trying to make every change and every improvement that you know that you should have. And if you stick with it, come talk to me. I'd love to see what that's done for you. Again, you can't decide your future, but you can decide your daily habits, which will certainly decide your future. That's day 130.